Welcome, everyone. I am so excited and so proud. We have had such an incredible journey here to get here. We just hit our 100th episode, and what a journey it's been. We launched this podcast about a little bit more than a year ago. We called it The Rich Equation. We wanted to redefine what it means to live a rich life and go down this journey, this rabbit hole of life and learning and meet great people and ask interesting questions and try to extrapolate all the great lessons of life and learn from other people's experiences. And that's exactly what it's been. It's meant so much to me to have had all these beautiful guests and the audience engage. I just can't believe that we're actually here. I want to really share that we've become this community now of people that are trying to live life 10 out of 10 in all aspects of their life and really go deep and deploy some of the things that we're learning, which is exactly why I decided to do this. I was learning that we were having these conversations in private with people, and I felt like we needed to have these conversations more in public. And so the podcast has just kind of taken off and been this amazing community of people that are deciding to live life at their best and lean in and learn. And, for me personally, my life has changed so dramatically over the last year and a half. And I'll share with you guys a lot of different things that I've learned and some of the ups and downs. But for the last year and a half, it has been a journey to try to figure out, the rhythm of this and what serves the community the best and what are people engaging with and what are they not, and what's good quality content that people want to hear and listen to, and what are the things people are struggling with that we could help and talk about and uncover. But for me personally, I've learned that I've had to really show up and to share some of the things that are my deepest challenges and secrets and things that I'm struggling with as an example, because I can't ask people to really dig into their life and make change if I don't exemplify that. And I'm evolving and I'm always going through it and going through different seasons, but it's been sort of a real cleansing experience to be able to have these conversations with you and to constantly keep searching for, what's next and what's the new information that'll help us live a more rich life. In the last year, I will share that physically, emotionally, mentally, it has been one of the most challenging years of my life. And earlier last year, I got sick, and I got sick for a long time, and I didn't realize how bad it was until probably 3, 4, 5 months later, where I was having other physical symptoms manifest in my cognitive ability, my memory, my just daily function, my energy. And at the same time I was dealing with this health thing, I was suffering the deepest parts of, or I guess the lows of my business. As you guys know, we have a furniture company that sells hotel furniture all around the US. And so that's sort of majority of my time gets spent there. And that we were hitting some real lows there and put increased amounts of stress and challenges and I wasn't the only one. A lot of people were struggling the last couple of years, but everything kind of hit at the same time. And I want to share that during those times, the podcast, I feel, saved me. And a lot of the tools and a lot of the things that we talk about on the podcast, the routines, the processes, the hacks, the mindset stuff, it saved me. And it's a real gift to be able to do this, but also a blessing to be able to have the community to lean on, which I always talk about how community basically significantly improves the odds of success. And we can't do this by ourselves, right? And so I hit the bottom. I dug myself out of it through a lot of discipline and structure and resiliency. And on the way out, I'll say while I was at the bottom, it was ugly. You see the worst parts of you. You see a lot of ego, a lot of resentment, a lot of hate, a lot of anger. And I think some of that is natural, but the universe gives it to you for a reason. And I had to face it. And I'll share now where I'm at, which is, I'm healthier than I've ever been. My relationships are strongest they've ever been. My business is doing better than it's ever been. And it's kind of interesting to see the contrast. And within a 1 year calendar year, I hit my bottom and I hit my top in a lot of aspects of my life. At an age where, I can't imagine what's coming ahead. And I did a post a couple of days ago about, life and death, and that everybody wants everything to be in a straight line, but actually that's death. And life is all of the ups and downs and all of the color that comes with. But we often judge the ups and downs and we hate the ups and downs, and we want everything to be more consistent and straight. But the only thing that's straight is death. So it's kind of ironic. But anyways, that was my last year and 2022. And it was probably going to be, or it was at that point, the most impactful year of my life, because I had the most lessons hit me in the face. And I learned that I was not I was not immune to some of these things. And so I just appreciate the community of the podcast. There's something to be said about staying on the rigor of doing something. The podcast allowed me to do that. We commit to putting out a podcast once a week, no matter what. Doesn't matter how busy I am. Doesn't matter how good things are, how bad things are. And that rigor, that discipline, that accountability structure really saved me. And that helped me focus on providing great value, great content, and showing up the best version of myself, even though I didn't feel that way all the time, which I think is what this is all about. Because, we can't be victim to the results, and we're attached to all these results. The journey is messy. The journey is ugly. And by leaning into that and leaning into our communities, we can survive those things. We can survive the ups and downs. And so that's where I really wanted to share. I want to touch on the 5 pillars, because I think that the pillars, we launched the podcast with these 5 pillars, and they continue to keep resonating for me that, we have chosen the right pillars. So the first pillar is wealth, income, how we make money, horizontal income, vertical income, strategies on how to manage money, how to grow our wealth, how our relationship with money. That was the first pillar. The second pillar is relationships. This quote keeps hitting me, and I say it often, that happiness is only real when shared. That no matter how much we think we can do ourselves or how much credit we should give ourselves, that the relationships in our life, personal, professional, future, and past, it's all that is mattered. And one of the things that I've learned big time is how to lean into those relationships without expectation. I think we often find that we want things to be reciprocal, but sometimes they don't need to be. They can just serve you in the way that you want it to serve you. So relationships and how we show up and how we work through the goods and bads of all of our relationships in our life. The next is routine. Routine is such an important part of consistency, of discipline, of resiliency in our daily routines. We don't have to use the word routine if you don't like that word. We use it. It could be rhythm. It could be your daily process. But what does your morning look like? What does your afternoon look like? What are you doing throughout the day to help you stay at your best, feeling at your best? So we talk a lot about routine here. Next, we talk about energy. So how are we harnessing energy? Are we active? Are we eating well? Are we meditating? Are we taking care of our bodies, our mind, our fitness? How are we exerting energy? Where are we wasting energy? We can't do what we want to do in life if we do not have energy. It doesn't mean that you have to be fake and act and do jumping jacks all the time. But our inner energy, are we protecting it? Are we harnessing it? And the last one is awareness. How is our relationship with ourselves? How can we practice more awareness? What are the stories we're telling ourselves? How are we observing the world around us and ourselves in that world, and what are the mirrors that are showing up, or the Buddhas that are showing up in our world to send us signals and information. And how are we harnessing that awareness? Are we meditating? Are we spending time with ourselves in nature? Are we creating groups to help that create that accountability or that awareness? So, you can't change and you can't adapt in the world if we're not learning and we're not adapting to who we are and learning how to be more aware. So that's the fifth pillar. So those 5 pillars have really served me every time I kind of get off track, or I'm struggling, or I'm suffering, or even when I'm doing great, I come back to the pillars, but like, where am I with all these things in my life? And part of the podcast and part of the things that we've launched in the podcast are things that are talking about all of those pillars. If you go back and you listen, we're always lacing those 5 pillars into our content, because we believe that that's what richness is all about. It's not just wealth. It is about living life in all of these different things to get the most out of life. Through the podcast, we've built this incredible community. And I want to just spend a minute to share that the community is what this is all about. I don't make money doing this. This is something that is sort of my contribution to the world in the way that we share information and the way we're giving these conversations out. To listen to the podcast is free. I hope people share what they're getting from it. But that's the only way that we can really grow and learn, is to participate in communities and harness our own community. And this community has meant so much to me because it's shown up in a way that is least expected. I don't always know who's part of the community. The goal is to always keep putting good things out, and hopefully good things will happen. And the community will meet me somewhere, or somebody will be meeting me at a trade show or at an event and just stop me and say, hey, we've been listening to the podcast. This is great. I had a difficult conversation with my daughter because of the podcast you just recorded with someone. Or, I had a great epiphany with how to deal with my employees, or teach or treat my employees, and it was a blind spot for me. So thank you so much for having that conversation, or whatever it is. And that's what this is all about for us, is to create a community of people that are really trying to create this level of awareness and accountability and action in their life to live their best life, leave it all on the table. And if that's who you are, then you belong here and you belong in this community. And I sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for spending your valuable time listening and leaning in and taking ownership and giving us the grace of your time. And so, I just want to say thank you. This year, I really want to continue the work that we're doing. We have some new things in store. We are launching some new programs. We're working on a rebrand. We're really trying to hone in more on some focus pillars. And really this concept of curated experiences and how people get served and how we live our life is something that's shown up for me pretty dramatically here. And I want this experience to be more intimate for you. And I want the relationships that we build and I build in this community to be more intimate. Ultimately, to what I'm kind of coining right now is living life together. And what I hope that the Rich Equation community becomes is a community of people that are interested in living life together. And what do I mean by that? I mean living life and not just business, which there's a lot of channels for that. Living life means we're not only entrepreneurs growing businesses, learning how to be better entrepreneurs. We're people who have families, maybe a spouse, maybe kids. How can we be the best version of ourselves at home? How do we be better citizens in the world, in our small little communities, giving, contributing? How do we invest together? How do we build wealth together? How do we travel together and experience nature and the world together? So that's kind of what I want this community to become. Is you may come from a completely different background from maybe one of those aspects that you're interested in, but you're somebody who's interested in doing it with others who are equally as passionate about living life with you. So that's what this community is about. And again, for everyone who's listening to the podcast, it's not always easy to know who is listening. So message us. You can email me personally at me@ashishnathu.com. You can DM me on Instagram. You can find us on Instagram, but let us know you're listening. Follow us, share the podcast with people, and engage with us so that we know what you're getting from it, what you need, and what you want from it. I want to talk about this concept that has really helped me also, called the winning day. And every time I'm off my track, and we'll talk about this for a minute, because the winning day strategy has been something that has really helped me big time. And it kind of goes to the routine pillar, but the winning day is an exercise that I had a coach do with me many years ago of like, what does your optimal epic day look like from start to finish? If you were to able to do everything you need to do or want to do in a day, I shouldn't say need, if you want to do in a day, what does that day look like? Show me that day. How does that day make you feel? Who did you get to spend time with in that day? And architect it. Write it out. 6 a.m., 5 a.m. to 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 11 p.m. Write it out. Create a little calendar and write it out. And what are the things you're going to do? What are you going to do throughout the day? And how are you going to feel throughout that day? And are you doing all of it? Are you putting a little bit of family time? Are you putting a little bit of emotion time? Are you putting a little alone time? Are you spending enough time on your mind? Are you learning enough? Are you working? Are you eating the right food at the right time? So put all of it into one calendar day. We're going to call that the winning day. And this idea, this tool has helped me so much. And I know I'm putting this in my 100th episode. So I want you guys to really hear this. Is this one idea of what does a winning day look like? What does it feel like? And living to that winning day every single day. Honestly, this process makes me feel like every day is my birthday. It makes me feel like every day, no matter what, I'm living the day that I designed, the life design that I want. And what's fun about this is some days you have great days, some days you win, some days you lose. And just because things go wrong or things are negative, that things that happen in the world, doesn't mean it's a lost day. It just means that you didn't manage the day and your energy the way that perhaps you wanted to. And so there's lessons there and you go back and you try again tomorrow. Luckily, these days don't stack. It's every single day you have a new chance. There may be a few days where they're winning together and a few days you're losing together, but either way, every day is a new day. And the concept of focusing and showing up every single day like a restart and playing all out in a day that you designed puts you in the control seat. It puts you in the driver's seat. And this has transformed my life. I have different days. Some days are podcast days. Some days are business days. Some days are networking days. Some days are leadership days. And I'm able to design every day that I want. And I'm not victim to time in a way that it controls me. And I just end up doing whatever, it hits me or whatever's in my inbox. I'm able to focus on what I want throughout and optimize the day to the maximum of I can. So it really speaks to the values here at the Rich Equation. I hope you guys can lean into that and get freedom from that routine and that sort of hamster wheel and start taking more control. Speaking of freedom, I want to reflect a little bit about this concept of freedom because I feel like as the 100th episode, I have been searching for this concept of freedom. And it's obvious that we have explored this question. I ask every single person on the podcast, what does it mean to live a rich life? And the most common answer that we get is do what I want, with whom I want, when I want. And that's a good answer. And I think that's a common answer. And I think for me personally, as I'm exploring this concept of freedom, I think often we think about money first, and we think about, well, if I have a number, then I'll be free. If I don't work for somebody, I'll be free. If I have X amount of income, I'll be free. And I have explored this concept thoroughly, and I'll be honest in my reflection that honestly, I don't think that there is any story that you can tell yourself or anything that you can tell yourself to make you free. And this, if you have this, I'll be free. If I have that, I'll be free. If I hit this number, I'll be free. If I work for myself, I'll be free. If I don't work for myself, I'll be free. If I have kids, I'll be free. If I don't have kids, I'll be free. If all of it is BS. I think that freedom is really a mindset, and it's a mindset in how we live our life now. Freedom doesn't come later. I think it is a mindset of how we observe ourselves in our attachments, in our behaviors, in why we do what we do, what inspires those behaviors in our present moment. I think meditation is a great way to see what attachments we have, what dependencies we have, what codependencies we're attached to, what stories we're telling ourselves about what will and can make us free. But real freedom is in the present. Real freedom is, in my opinion, the ability to sit with oneself without judgment, without suffering, without criticism. Real freedom is feeling comfortable in your own skin with where you're at and who you are. Regardless of what you have, what people think of you, where you live, how much money you have, what kind of car you drive. Real freedom is just oneness. Now, we live in a material world. We live in a 3D, 4D world. We live in a world where commerce makes the world go round. We live in a capitalistic society. And by no means am I saying don't play in that game. I play in that game. I love that game. But I have definitely learned that true inner peace and joy and freedom does not come from somehow conquering that game. And in fact, I think it's the absolute opposite. I think the most successful people in life, and if you've listened to the podcast enough, you know that I'm not defining success in terms of money, that the most successful in life people are so in touch with themselves, so unfuckwithable, so comfortable in their own skin. They've created their own cocoon of safety and clarity and confidence that what happens in the world, what they get, what comes in and out, does not mess with them at all. And to me, that is pure power and freedom. I'm on the journey of that. I don't think I am there quite yet. I think it's clear to me that's the journey. I have refocused, rehoned all of my arrows to live a life of that journey without the destination. I still get caught up with getting attached to the outcome and looking for a destination. And if this, then this. We all do. Our mind does. But if I were to speak truly to myself and to you and really reflect on what I've learned, is that it is truly about the journey, more about the lessons of exploring who we are and uncovering more about ourselves in this journey and feeling confident and clear in that than it is about achieving any materialistic 3D thing that we could ever achieve. And there's a real connection and truth and courage that comes from that process of finding real freedom. And that's what this is all about. Freedom from all attachment, freedom from dependency. And the podcast is a community that is exploring all of those things. It's not just business. I want everyone to make as much effing money as they possibly can. And as you do that, you're going to learn a lot about yourself. So I hope you do. I hope you make a crap ton of money. I hope you are fitter than anyone else you know. I hope you are deeper with yourself and have the deepest relationships that you can. And through all of that experience and that uncovering and that turmoil and the suffering will come great gifts And so I hope you put a ton of energy into it. And for me, that's what freedom is all about. It is finding the diamonds and putting them under heat and polishing them up. There is a huge value that I've learned in one of the things before I share this idea is one of the things I didn't really believe about myself or know about myself was like, I always felt like I needed to be a better listener. And the podcast has given me this beautiful ability to learn how to ask better questions and learn how to ask good questions and also be quiet in the answers and not always interject, feel like, oh yeah, I know, and this is why. And sometimes you do that, and it's easier to do that in real time or with people face to face. But in the podcast setting, you have to sit and you have to ask creative, clear questions to people and create space for them to answer. And one of the things I want to share with people is that I don't ever prepare a predefined question list for each episode. So each episode is really a unique experience depending on who is showing up and what they have to give to the world and what they have to share. But for me, it's something that I've had to learn of like, okay, what's a good quality question? I don't want to ask the same, 6, 7, 8 questions every single time. I want to ask unique questions that get the most out of the interaction, not only for me, but for everyone listening. So it's a skill. And I think we can all learn from this skill of what does it mean to ask better questions in our life? And are we asking good questions? Are we asking ourselves good questions? Are we holding each other accountable for quality questions? Or are we just saying surface level, like, tell me about yourself. How are you? What's going on? Those are good questions, but they're surface level questions. I think we need to learn how to ask real questions in life. And I believe that once we can get more comfortable asking these questions and answering them, we'll uncover what the true purpose, true meaning is really there for us to see and show up in our life. So, one of the things that I hope everyone can take away from this experience and hear as we interview people is, what are the questions that we're asking those people, and how does that apply to you in all aspects of your life? And that's work. It takes work. It's not something that's easy and just natural. It's effort and it's energy and intention. But I hope that you deploy that. Another thing that I think is really critical for people to know is that success leaves clues, right? Tony Robbins says this all the time. And you can build skill sets to increase the probability of your success in all aspects of your life. And often when we are not achieving the results we want, it's because of two things. It's because of discipline and it's because of habits. That's it. Are we have the right habits and are we disciplined about those habits? For me, one of the things that I think is one of my superpowers is I go into things without thinking and I'm pretty consistent about doing them. And I can fall off and be inconsistent, but often I find a way to continue to keep doing those things. The podcast is one of them. My business is one of them. There are many relationships in my life where they should come and go, but I want to stick them out. And I often reap the benefits of them because they're more long-term. And I don't have these superficial relationships, not too many anymore, because I'm able to stick to it. And I think that there are skill sets that everyone can learn in life that allows them to stick to things and to get the most out of things. And routine is such a great way to harness that energy. So, no matter what is going on in life, there should be routines that happen in your life that help you stay at your best and get the most out of your life. That may be working out, that may be eating right, that may be journaling, that may be having dinner with your parents or calling a sibling or doing, sleep or hydration or intermittent fasting. I don't care what the routine is, what the consistency is. Everything good in life happens because you were disciplined and consistent. And a lot of people pat me on the back saying, hey, I don't know how you did it. How did you get to 100 episodes? It's like, look, I just decided that I was going to do it and I'm not going to let myself fail. And I have a community of people that are holding me accountable, and I can't let people down. And there may be a codependency there, but I think if some codependencies are good because they keep you moving and they keep you going through the times where you don't want to do it. And I don't know about you, but there are definitely times where I don't want to do things. I don't want to be positive and happy and be the great leader, but you have to lead all the time. You don't have a choice. I don't want to record all the time, but I have to. And that discipline, that rigor, that structure allows you to build more resilience. And what is life without building resilience to the up and down? So I wanted to share that thought. I think it can be hard and it's not comfortable. And there's a lot of good content out there about how to build resilience. But I think that working on the mind, working on our mindset on when we don't want to do things is one of the most powerful things we can do. And there's a lot of tips and hacks and strategies on how to create momentum for that. But it's one of the things I wanted to share. And, this whole podcast, this community has exploded in a way that I never would have thought. I didn't know if it was going to really go anywhere. It was an idea that I wanted to do and put out there. I'm really proud of everyone who has participated. I'm proud of everyone on the sidelines and behind me that has put in time and effort. This is a commitment of personal development. This is not a monetary financial thing that you're investing in by listening to the podcast. So I just sincerely appreciate it. I think that this is a medium of content and entertainment that is going to be more and more useful over time. It's sort of like an encyclopedia of things that you can go and use and tap into as you need it based on the different things you're going through at that time of your life, and ultimately accelerate your level of growth and impact. And it's something that, is amazing and should be leaned into. There's a lot of my own lessons in all of the episodes. I'm really proud and happy to share my journey. I think if I were to give you guys some advice as I wrap up this 100th episode, is to really stay present in your life. Give yourself grace, continue to do hard work, learn to ask better questions of yourself and others around you, harness your community, take massive action, feel grateful, call your mom. And one of the best advice that somebody once told me to live a happy life is to stop complaining. And this idea of how much we complain in our life, it's just bad energy. And there's so much opportunity for us to clean up this energy and live a lighter, more grateful, full life. And life will be good for those that do. And I think that, what we imagine, what we dream up in life can really become. I didn't ever imagine even 4 or 5 years ago that I would be the host of a podcast. I would have ideas to share with people, that people would want to talk to me, that people would learn from these conversations, but they do. And, one day it became a dream, and then the next day I took action, and here we are. And so, believe in yourself. I believe in you. The potential is limitless. It's totally possible to do anything you want in your life, in any aspect of your life. And life is fully limitless and fully abundant, period. And stop. And we must become aware and unblock our own limiting beliefs and all our limiting thoughts of what is in our way to let that beautiful manifestation happen. I just want to thank you guys again. I hope you guys will continue to get value from this podcast and our community. Please share in the comments or text me. My cell phone number is 714-651-6992. That's my personal cell phone number. You can also email me personally at me@ashishnathu.com. If you ever have any ideas, you need help, you need anything, you need support, you're looking for any strategies, whatever, I really want to connect with you. So please reach out. It's my cell phone number, my email. I want to thank a few people because this podcast could not happen without some tireless work I want to personally thank this girl named AJ Prietos. AJ has been here from the beginning of our journey. We don't talk about her much on the podcast, but she makes all the magic happen behind the scenes. She does all of the curation. She does all the content. She helps with all of the people that join on the podcast. I am really grateful to AJ. She has been such a great support. She's learned a ton, implemented so many of the things that we talk about here, and just really leaning into her life and taking ownership of her life. And so I'm just really proud of her. I want to thank my wife, because my wife, without Sejal allowing me to have this platform and supporting me, I think I probably would have given up. It's not easy to share. It's not easy to be vulnerable and talk about some of the things that we talk about here in such a public forum. And she's been nothing but supportive. So I'm just really grateful for her. I'm really grateful for my sister Poonam Nathu and Ranesh Ganatra, because those two people really early on in this process almost challenged me. They tested me that I wouldn't do this. And podcast is sort of a dedication that I did for them. And so I just am blessed and grateful. And I thank them for pushing me and pushing me over the edge. And as you guys know, Ranesh was one of my first podcasts, and Mike Ayala as well, for pushing me to be more on social media and build a community and build my digital reputation. You know, trust is a really important thing for me. I think that nowadays we're going to see more people build the digital reputation and build trust online. And so Mike Ayala was one of the first people that helped me do that. I'm really thankful to my kids. You know, they're such a huge part of my life. I have a 3-year-old and 5-year-old now, and this is in 2023. And they've taught me so much about how to live life. All of my weaknesses, all of my challenges, my shortcomings, they are great mirrors for me. And I'm just so proud to have 2 girls and to raise them in this world and pour everything I have into them and create space for them to just flourish. And they are such a ball of energy that I'm gifted with to play with. And I know that they're going to do great things in this world. And I'm just happy that they get to hear us and hear me and hear you for a lifetime in this medium, in this content. And ultimately, thankful to you. I'm thankful to all the people that are listening. I'm thankful to all the people that have supported me and us through this process. I hope you enjoy the content. I hope you enjoy and continue to listen and reach out to us. And so that's it, guys. That's it. Our 100th episode. I can't believe we've done it. I'll see you on the other side. I'll see you at 200. Thanks so much. God bless you. Let's get after it.